Hi everybody, this is Massimo Italiano, the one and only Italian professional wrestler that travel all over the world, and you are listening Wrestling Matters.
Ladies, gentlemen, and whoever else is listening to this, Wrestling Matters Podcast fans, it is I, that H, that E to the A to the D, Anthony Walker, and welcome to a very special edition of the Wrestling Matters Podcast this week, guys. Normally it's up on a Monday, but today is Tuesday, April 7th, and it's arrived, ladies and gents. That's right. It's the birthday of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. It's the 1 year anniversary. Yay! 1 year to this very day, ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestling Matters Podcast was born. That's right. Created, produced, edited every week, done every week, hosted every week by me. Yours truly, the H, the E, the A to the D. That's right. And if you'd have told me 1 year ago to this very day that I'd probably make it this far, I would probably say that you're out of your mind. Because 1 year to this very day, actually a couple of months beforehand, I came up with an idea to create this podcast. I wanted to do it on a radio station, but obviously that came to pasture. But 1 year to the very day, the Wrestling Matters Podcast was born. Fast forward a year, here I am now, celebrating 1 year of the anniversary of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And on today's show, we're going to talk Raw, a very impactful and very fun Raw considering what happened with one Brock Lesnar. More on that later. We're going to talk SmackDown, we're going to talk TNA, we're going to talk NXT, and we're going to talk Ring of Honor. And also, a very action-packed Ring of Honor too, I might add. Also, we're going to talk, as we always do, ICW, baby. The main event, the number one wrestling promotion in the UK today. Dare I say, the professional wrestling world. We're going to talk ICW's Friday Night Fight Club. I'm guessing it's back this week, even though it was kind of episode 6 of Spaceballs last week, so I'm guessing the Friday Night Fight Club returns this week. So it was a Spaceballs special last week, so I'm guessing everything's back to normal this week. So, but no matter what, we're still going to talk ICW, because I'm going to talk to you as well and give you the results, in case you missed it, of Barramania, which you can see on the ICW on demand servers. £3.75, which is £6. It was £6 in US money and dollars. You need to see it, guys. You need to, subscribe to it. If you haven't subscribed to it, you are truly missing out, and you're missing out on great shows like Barramania that was on 1 week ago on the same night as WrestleMania. So more on that later on. And besides all that as well, part 2 of my interview with Massimo Italiano. That's right, Massimo Italiano. The second part of that interview, you heard the part 1 last week. Part 2 is this week. It's today, on today's show, on the 1 year anniversary of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. But before we get to Monday Night Raw, guys, I want to tell you a quick something as well. Got the part 2 of the interview this week. Starting next week is part 1 of another interview that I did. That's right, if you tuned in to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast, I think it was about a week ago, you would have heard this man on that show as well. And next week, starting next week, part 1 of my interview, my exclusive interview with the poker professional turned wrestling manager himself. That's right, Johnny Ferry. I did an interview this past week, recorded an interview with Johnny Ferry, and you will get to hear that interview. Part 1 of that interview will be next week on the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Oh, I don't know, I might put the whole thing on, I don't know, but you will get to hear that interview starting next week. Guarantee, super cool guy. If you haven't heard the Sunday Segway interview he did, go and find it, go and check it out. Pretty cool interview. And he was a super cool, and he was and still is, he's a very, very super cool guy. He really is. Very down to earth. Knows his poker. Hell, he was a US poker champion, for Pete's sake. And knows his stuff as well about wrestling, man. Really does. And a super cool guy. And it was a very, very fun interview. I mean, he said to me when I set it up to him, I set it up for him, he said, it's going to be fun. And he wasn't kidding, man. It was pretty fun, relaxing, good interview as well. And we talked about wrestling, we talked about, Tommy Dreamer, the House of Hardcore, how he made a surprise debut, and also got into talking about the WWE's ECW palaver back in the day. Roll, remember that? The third brand that it was. He also gives his opinions on that as well. So be sure to check that out next week. It starts next week. I don't know. I'm probably going to make it part 1. I don't know, but You'll find out next week. It's going to start. I will air it next week on this very podcast, which today is episode 3, so I'm guessing that'll be episode 4. Episode 54, sorry. Episode 53 is today. Episode 54 is for... God, I'm so nervous on this podcast today, man. Because it's 1 year, baby. It's a 1 year anniversary. It's the birthday anniversary. It's the birthday show, man. I'm so pumped. And also later on as well, after that interview, I will be giving a thank you speech. Because, yes, I've got some thank yous I need to give out, and I've got a speech, a promo, and whatever you want to call it as well, coming from the heart for you guys, because I know from starting last year, Monday, April 7th of 2014, I didn't get to where I am today without having to thank a few people as well. So I had some help along the way, some pathways that were led, that I ended up walking down as well, but more on all that later on. Right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Monday Night Raw, I'm going to do a couple of quick promotions, just to get this out of the way, because I won't be doing it later on, so I might as well do them now and get it over with. For information on EPW Wrestling and EPW Wrestling in Middlesbrough, or wherever you may be, whether you're in Darlington or if you can get to the Middlesbrough area, whatever, go to EPW Wrestling 1 on Twitter, Facebook.com/EPW American Wrestling, or EPWWrestling.co.uk. Also, be sure to check out Total Wrestling T-Side as well, TWT, on Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff as well, because they'll be coming and presenting a show in October, the end of October. No dates, no information on that yet, but all we know is they're coming to Middlesbrough in October. Halloween night, that is. So, further information will be delivered on further podcasts, but until then, make sure you check them out as well, and show your support to them as well. And if you can get to the shows, get yourself there. Because as always, guys, wrestling matters. Now to what my schedule is Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, main talking points. Monday Night Raw kicked off this week with a very pissed off Beast. That's right, Beast Incarnate comes flying out of the ring. Well, flying out to the ring. Very pissed off after what happened. A round of Eat, Sleep, Promo, Repeat revealed the intentions of the advocate of Lesnar and the Beast Incarnate himself. The Beast comes out wanting his rematch, and he wanted it now. Stephanie comes out, the lack of Ronda Rousey, the Vixen and everything, and agrees to give Brock Lesnar his rematch. So later on in the evening, Brock Lesnar would go one-on-one with Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Intercontinental Champion, the new Intercontinental Champion, Daniel Bryan, finally gets one over on Dolph Ziggler. Daniel Bryan's Intercontinental title win stole the show and the hearts of the WWE Universe in equal measures. Despite a last-second effort by Dolph Ziggler, but the bearded one may be a little rusty going into his match with Dolph Ziggler the following night on Raw, with Bad News Barrett lurking at commentary. The two grapplers locked horns over the Intercontinental title like they were, in fact, competing in the WrestleMania main event. Bryan and Ziggler exchanged holds and haymakers until the show-off spiked Bryan into the mat with a modified power driver, targeting the Beard's surgically repaired neck. Bryan responded with a belly-to-back suplex, and the playing field evened from there, so to speak. Much like the ladder match, the contestant came down to dueling headbutts, but unlike the ladder match, Bryan had the option of answering with a running knee to retain the championship. Enter Bad News Barrett, who was quick to bum rush the champion, but a returning mohawked-looking, good God almighty, Sheamus sent him scurrying. Barrett needed not have bothered. The Irishman had other targets in mind. A bro kick to Bryan and flattening Ziggler with white noise before offering a simple message to the crowd. I'm back. Nothing more was said, but we're sure Bryan and Ziggler will have quite a retaliation in mind when they battle Sheamus and Barrett on SmackDown this week. More on that later. The Lucha Dragons and the New Day go against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro and the Ascension, and the Lucha Dragons win the match with the New Day. And what always gets me about the New Day guys is how Xavier Woods bounces, he dunks on the apron just to get the crowd running, and the crowd always end up going, New Day sucks, New Day sucks. And quite frankly, in a way, I still don't get the whole thing behind the New Day. It's like three people that WWE didn't know what to do. Oh, what do you want to do? Oh yeah, let's put them together. Now to the bit, in my opinion, that stole the show. The World Heavyweight Championship match that never happened. Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar comes out looking for his rematch, prepared to get his rematch, prepared to beat the hell out of Rollins. But Rollins, being the little weasel that he is, saw Stephanie, and Stephanie agreed not to have him put the title on the line. And one thing leads to another, all politic BS, which just basically pissed off Lesnar. Lesnar runs out, grabs out of Seth, just literally beats the hell out of him. Seth tries to get away. Lesnar goes for a suplex. Rollins lands on his feet, gets out of Rollins, goes for an F5. The Cruiserweight division get involved. And then, as Rollins is just getting away, Lesnar flattens the Cruiserweight division, and Rollins manages to escape, like a little weasel that he is. But just when you thought it wasn't over, that just pissed off Lesnar, because Lesnar snapped. Legit snapped. He pushes the announce table towards, which turned into Booker T and JBL, flattening them. I don't know how Michael Cole eventually got out the way, but Michael Cole tried to get away and runs right into Lesnar, grabs out of Lesnar. Lesnar grabs out of him, throws him in the ring. Paul tries to reason with him, and you can hear Cole as well saying, I didn't do nothing, Brock, much to the dismay of him. And Brock was like, I'm not taking this. Gets in the ring, F5s Michael Cole, and Cole rolls out the ring, and then proceeds to grab a cameraman, goes to F5 him. Stephanie comes out, tries to stop him and calm him down and reason with him and whatever. He F5s the cameraman, and then Steph suspends him. Now, it's like I said to Sunday Segway when they asked for their thoughts on Facebook. I kind of feel that this is like a Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Vince McMahon thing. Playing the part of Stone Cold is Brock Lesnar, and playing the part of Vince is Stephanie. Male and female thing, I know. But back in the 97, there was a build-up leading towards what happened at Madison Square Garden, where Stone Cold dropped Vince with a stunner. Who's to say that won't happen with Stephanie? Maybe Stephanie's on Brock Lesnar's list for an F5. Maybe she'll take an F5 herself. Her dad's took one. Triple H has took one. But maybe considering what's happened and everything, maybe, Stephanie suspending, and I use that term loosely, Brock Lesnar, who's to say that Brock won't F5 Stephanie? It's an interesting thought. Be interesting to see what happens, but again, that was my favourite part of the match, or favourite part of Raw at least. I got over like a house on fire. Now, Adrian Neville made his debut on Raw as well. Mizdow beats Stardust as well just before that. Mizdow beats Stardust, and Miz comes in and attacks Miz down from behind. Neville comes in and puts on an impressive performance, which is he's now called Neville, not Adrian Neville, it's Neville Gordon Bennett, and beats Axelmania, which is tremendous. And he put on a good show. He's just picking up where he left off from NXT. Maybe when NXT brand, manages to break away, you never know, he might go back to NXT. It was never a question that John Cena, he of hustle, loyalty and respect, wouldn't defend his newly won United States Championship against anyone who wanted a crack at it on both Raw and SmackDown, where he'll be returning to on Thursday. What was surprising that was the champ's opening challenge was answered by Dean Ambrose instead of Rusev, who suffered his first true defeat at WrestleMania and lost the Star-Spangled title in the process. The Lunatic Fringe himself, a record-setting United States champion and still hungry for a spot on WWE's Wall of Champions, shook off that gruesome fall through a ladder to bring his own particular brand of intensity to Raw's second title bout of the night. A big elbow was on the docket, as was locking Cena in an STF of his own to bring the face that runs the place, as he puts it, within an inch of defeat. Unfortunately for Ambrose, reprising his earlier triumphs over Cena was out of the cards. A running crossbody was reversed into an attitude adjustment and Cena stayed champion, though he offered respect to the frustrated Ambrose all the same. The rowdy crowd may have sang John Cena Sucks in tune of the champ's theme song, but the victory meant the overture of another tune. The champ is here. Sorry if I said that wrong. Now, that was probably a good match as well, match of the night. Now, Paige, AJ Lee, and Naomi defeat the Bella Twins and Natalya. More on AJ later. Rusev eventually comes out and beats Goldust. Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Ryback defeat the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, Big Show, and Kane. An ultimatum to Randy Orton by the Authority forced the Viper to find his other partners in the locker room, full of enemies for Raw's main event, a six-man tussle with Rollins, Show, and Kane. While Ryback volunteered for some more anti-Authority action, that opened the door for the man who had been absent all night, Roman Reigns. The 2014 Superstar of the Year rounded out Orton's ranks and had quite enough of both Rollins and the leaping over the top rope and onto the Authorities in the match. Opening moments and taking the bout into the hands at the end. While Orton terrorized by the Authority for minutes and on end, Roman took over against Kane and never let up, capitalizing on some timely help from Ryback, who shell-shocked Big Show, Orton, who RKO'd Kane, to finish the night with a spear on the Devil's Favorite Demon through Rollins. Got away for now, anyway. Be interested to see what happens after that. Now, that was the main event. Raw was a 7 out of 10 for me, considering all the Brock Lesnar stuff at least. But also, for those that didn't see what happened on the network, I'm going to tell you right now. Because everybody wanted to know what was next for Sting. What was next for the Vigilante. Would the Vigilante, be fighting another match? I hope so. But during this interview, a returning Bo Dallas shows up, gets in the face. Much to Sting's dismay, Sting ends up dropping him with the Scorpion Death Drop. Thank you, Sting. Probably my favourite moment of the night. Because quite frankly, I cannot stand Bo Dallas. But with that being said, 7 out of 10 for Monday Night Raw. I'm going to take a quick time out. And then after that, ladies and gents, I will come back with the SmackDown main points. And you know what? I'll throw TNA in there as well. So SmackDown main points and TNA next. Stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters Podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And as I said, we will kick off now with SmackDown main points. Now, SmackDown this week kicked off with the Authority, but Randy Orton interrupts the Authority and the World Heavyweight Champion. On the first post-match WrestleMania SmackDown, Sheamus made his triumphant return to action with unwavering aggression, and a huge United States Championship rematch was made for Extreme Rules. And Randy Orton tried to RKO his way into the World Heavyweight Championship match. A highly tempered edition of SmackDown, I would say, with the new World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, flanked by Big Show, Kane and JJ Security, providing excuses for literally running away from his Raw title defense against Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins' verbal rundown of the Beast incarnate, however, was cut short by Randy Orton, who campaigned for his own World Heavyweight title opportunity, which he deserved since he beat Rollins at Mania. The contest between Randy Orton and Big Show didn't last long as J&J Security and Kane got involved. The Viper briefly battled back, getting a few punches in on Rollins before Kane delivered a chokeslam to the Viper. Ryback then came out to help Orton dispose of the Authority in explosive fashion as Seth Rollins got away once again. Naomi defeats Natalya. Kane makes a match between Death Rollins. Wow. Kane makes a match between Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. Roman Reigns declares war on Seth Rollins and says that he will beat him for the World Heavyweight Championship. Miz beats R-Truth. Whoop-de-doo. John Cena grants Rusev his rematch at Extreme Rules. Rusev's rough week continued on SmackDown despite getting a rematch for the United States Championship against John Cena in Extreme Rules. The super athlete was left hanging when the Russian flag failed to drop above the ring. Instead, the C-Nation leader stood tall inside the squared circle as the American flag unveiled from the rafters. Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper ended in a no contest. Primetime players are make fun of the New Day. Titus O'Neil and Darren Young had fun at the expense of the New Day, laying the verbal smackdown on the Spirited Trio. Seems that primetime players have a problem with the New Day, as do we all, if you're in the crowd. New Day sucks, kind of thing. Prior to the non-title match against Daniel Bryan, Sheamus made his mission clear, declaring that he won't rest until he puts every underdog in the WWE Universe out of their misery. The Celtic Warrior made good on his promise, at least for one night, defeating the Yes Man in SmackDown's hard-hitting main event after the new-look Irishman sent the beard flying over the ring apron with a punishing collision. Bad News Barrett got up from the spot on the commentary to deliver a head-turning bullhammer elbow to a dazzled Bryan. As a result, the Intercontinental Champion was knocked out cold and was counted out, allowing the Irishman to win by a countout. And this coming Monday night on Raw, guys, the Irishman gets his wish, because apparently it has been confirmed that tonight on Raw, the Irishman goes one-on-one with Daniel Bryan, this time for the Intercontinental Championship. So, tune in tonight on Raw as always. Impact, however, kicked off this week with a submission match between Bobby Roode and Eric Young. Eric Young addresses his final match with Bobby Roode, saying that it will be the last of Roode's pathetic career. Eric Young vows to bend Bobby Roode to his will, forcing him to submit. Roode charges to the ring. He and Eric Young collide. They brawl outside. Roode uses the guardrail to his advantage until Eric Young rakes the eyes. In the ring, Roode attempts a crossface, but Young escapes, retreating beyond the ring. Roode clubs Young from behind and locks in a crossface on the ramp. Brian Hebner directs the action to be taken back to the ring. Roode tweaks his knee, but is still able to manage with a diving neckbreaker and a spine buster. Rude mounts Young in the corner and drills him with a series of rights. Young shoves Rude from the ropes and capitalizes on the injured leg with a leg bar. Rude reaches the bottom rope and Hebner breaks the hold. Rude escapes to the outside, but Young rushes up from behind and takes out the knee. Young continues targeting Rude's knee, using the ring post for leverage. Young rolls Rude into the ring, and then he misses a dropkick. Rude attempts a Boston Crab. Young counters and charges towards Rude. Rude catches him with a crossface. Young reaches the rope. Rude ducks a clothesline and sinks in a Boston Crab again. Eric Young reaches the ropes and Rude is sent to the outside. Young slams Rude's face, then knee first into the steps. Eric Young gains the upper hand in a sinking exchange by sending Rude to the mat. Young locks in a figure four. Rude reverses the hold, but it's broken. Young sent crashing into Hebner, and then Rude locks in a crossface. Eric Young taps, but the referee never sees it. Young takes Rude down again before locking in a second figure four, which Rude has to tap out, and Eric Young wins the match. So I guess Eric Young wins that feud. Bit of news this week as well. The Wolves had to relinquish the Tag Team Championships. Well, they didn't have to, but they chose to relinquish the World Tag Team titles this week because Eddie Edwards is injured. So we don't know when they're going to come back, but I'm saying when they do. The Wolves made it clear that whoever has the belts, they'll be gunning for them. So at the moment right now in TNA, we do not have World Tag Team Champions. In a knockouts match, Gail Kim beats Angelina Love. In a false count anywhere brawl, Magnus beats Bram, the newest member to the 55, by the way. More on that later. And as towards the end, Bram looked like to whack Mickie James. He was looking like he was gunning for Mickie James, looking to whack her and beat her up. But an unlikely source, James Storm, comes out and did not allow Bram to hit Mickie or plan to hit Mickie, whatever he was trying to do. So I gotta respect that by the leader of the Revolution. Now for the World Heavyweight Championship, the rematch. Now Lashley and Angle shake hands at the bell. Lashley powers Angle to the mat, but Angle hooks a side headlock. Angle breaks the hold and comes off the ropes, only to be overpowered by Lashley. Lashley grounds Angle with a headlock of his own. Angle escapes to the outside to regroup. Angle and Lashley exchange holds. Lashley again overpowers Angle, but Angle invades any hold and turns the grounding into a hammerlock. Both men reach their feet and lock up in the center of the ring again. Angle drops Lashley with a belly-to-belly suplex that he follows up with a German suplex. Lashley stumbles backward and Angle charges with a clothesline that sends Lashley to the outside. Lashley drags Angle outside and uses the ring apron to his advantage. He rolls Angle into the ring and drives him into the turnbuckle with a spear. Lashley locks in a bear hug. Angle battles out, but he's grounded by a knee to the gut. Lashley locks in another bear hug before dropping a knee to Angle's spine and slapping on the hold again. Angle breaks the hold, but he's grounded again with a boot to the face. Lashley backs Angle up to the ropes and drills him with a series of kicks and elbows, shots to the head. Coming off the opposite ropes, Lashley charges Angle, but he is sent over the top rope. Lashley re-enters the ring and a trade of shot ensures. Angle drops Lashley with a German suplex, but Lashley counters the second suplex with a spine buster. Lashley makes a cover. Angle is out at 2. Lashley misses a shot to the face, and Angle comes up with 2 more German suplexes. Using the ropes for leverage, Lashley breaks Angle's hold and powers slams the Olympic gold medalist. Lashley attempts a spear, which Angle sidesteps and Angle connects with another belly-to-belly suplex and 3 more German suplexes and an angle slam. Angle covers Lashley for a near fall. Angle slaps on an ankle lock. Lashley crawls, reaching for the bottom rope, but before he can reach, Angle drags him back to the center of the ring. Lashley rolls through the hole, sending Angle to the outside. Lashley sends Angle crashing into the steel stairs, which he repeatedly smashes Angle's face. Lashley drops Angle throat first on the guardrail. He rolls Angle back inside. Lashley prepares for a spear that connects. Angle just gets his shoulder up before 3. Lashley ascends the ropes, but Angle catches him at the top. Lashley falls, straddling the ropes. Angle capitalizes and connects with an Angle slam from the second rope. Angle heads up the turnbuckle. He misses a moonsault. Lashley locks in an ankle lock of his own. Angle rolls through, sending Lashley into the turnbuckle. Lashley stumbles backwards, and Angle rolls him up for the win. But I think it was a controversial win, because post-match, a video replay shows that Lashley's shoulder weren't even pinned to the mat, which is true. So this is far from over, I'm sure. But a good show nonetheless. Now, I want to bring something back to WWE before I go to a quick break. It was announced this week that AJ Lee has parted ways with WWE and has retired. So, whether we saw that coming or not, I don't know. But it's a shame, because WWE has lost one of their top divas. So, AJ Lee is now no longer in WWE. She is officially retired, according to WWE.com. And as well as other sites as well. So, thank you, AJ, for all you've done for the Divas division. And I'm sure the Divas and the female wrestling division and whatever will not be the same without you. You were WWE's top diva, or one of them at least. So good luck in your future endeavors, which we all know what that is, watching Punk fight in the UFC. But anyway, that's it for the TNA and SmackDown main talking points. I will be back after this with NXT main talking points as well, and also Ring of Honor, and I will be talking this week about ICW and what's to come as well, because I've got a few things in the pipeline here on the Wrestling Matters podcast involving ICW, so as well. And I want to talk about Barramania, and I want to talk about a few other things as well involving ICW, so stay tuned for that. And I also have part 2 of the Massimo Italiano interview as well. You seen part 1 last week. Part 2 is coming up today as well. And then after that, I will give you my speech as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll be back after this.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and we'll get right into it. We'll get right into WWE NXT. Now, NXT kicked off this week with the return of Sami Zayn. While he was away, he said that he had some time to think, and all he had on his mind was Kevin Owens. And his plan that he set up is to use his rematch clause for the NXT Championship and beat the hell out of Kevin Owens. Rhino was in action, and he just gored his opponent to a quick win. Nothing really much to say about that. And then he makes a statement saying that he's coming for the NXT Championship, and he doesn't care who it is that's in his way, whether it's Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, or Sami Zayn. He don't care. Bayley goes one-on-one with Emma. Now, the match starts off with a feeling out process. Probably a weird match for me. Not the fact of Bayley, it was just the fact of Emma. The Pied Piper of flowing bubbles. Jeez, God. Chain wrestling, Bayley gets the advantage. Bayley seems to be the quicker than Emma. Emma has an advantage. Bayley mounts a fight back. Emma stops that. Then Bayley takes control, but a mistake allows Emma to hook the Emma lock. Then hits the Emma the MMA sandwich. She goes for the cover, starts doing a dancing thing, and then Bayley reverses it into a sunset flip and gets the win. And then they had this look on the face at the end of the match and everything, and Emma was on another planet, so to speak. I don't know what the hell. It's amazing that Emma's still in there, to be honest, in WWE, but I don't know what the hell is going on with this, to me. Becky Lynch is backstage and is looking for an NXT women's title shot and welcomes everyone to NXT. She wasn't particularly very happy with everyone getting a title shot except her. And like I say, welcomes everyone to NXT. She's looking to make a statement and wants a shot at the Women's Championship, basically calling out Sasha Banks. The Lucha Dragons, who made their debut this past week on Raw, face Blake and Murphy, the tag team champions of NXT. Blake and Kalisto start off, Kalisto proving to be quick. Lucha Dragons show good teamwork, almost awesome moonsault by Kalisto on the outside. The Lucha Dragons are in control. Champions now in control though, slowing down Kalisto. Dragons in trouble, champions in control. Dragons get a near fall. Champions retake control. Champions grounding Kalisto, which was basically most of the match. They were just slowing down the Dragons. Kalisto tags. Dragon comeback is on. Moonsault press by Sin Cara gets a near fall. Blake hits a frog splash and the champions win. After Sin Cara gets a shot on the outside by, I believe it was Blake. Murphy's in the ring. Murphy distracts the referee. Blake punches Sin Cara with a shot to the face and then hits the frog splash for the win. So a relatively predictable win for the champions. Sami Zayn is backstage and goes face to face with Rhino. I was about to do an interview and then Rhino comes in. And Rhino makes the statement that he made very clear to Sami Zayn's face. That he doesn't care who it is. And says that the line to the NXT Championship starts behind him. Now, a little grudge match. Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan. Now, this was a little bit from before, because these two had a tag team match before, and Ty Dillinger was basically taking charge of Jason, and Jason didn't like it, so Jason walked away, kind of thing. So Ty had no one to blame but himself. Action started fast until Jason speared in a corner, using his amateur stuff, and gets a near fall. Jason Jordan talks trash while he was grounding Ty. Ty mounts a comeback. Ty in control, takes control. Jordan, using his awesome power, hits a suplex, T-bone style suplex, and gets the win. It wasn't that much in the match to talk about, but yeah, Jordan gets the win in that little grudge match. Now on to the main event of the evening, guys, which was a 2 out of 3 falls match with Prince Pretty, Tyler Breeze, and Hideo Itami. This was hopefully to settle the feud. A feeling out process takes place first. Tyler really taking it to Hideo. Quick hands, quick feet, running dropkick in the corner. Hits a shotgun. Hideo wins the first fall. Ref keeps Hideo Itami back. And then out of nowhere, Tyler hits a beauty shot and levels the match. Moron ref. Absolute idiot. Tyler in control as NXT returns from the break. Tyler is getting quick near falls, really working on Hideo, slowing him down. A great dropkick by Breeze gets a near fall. Breeze in control of Hideo. Hideo mounts a fight back. A clothesline from Hideo gets a near fall. A clothesline that nearly takes Tyler's head off. A back and forth match. Breeze then hits a supermodel kick, gets a near fall. Kicks from Breeze just pissing Hideo off. Hideo hits strike backs of his own. It was in this back and forth match, and then as it was coming towards the end, Hideo goes to whip Breeze to the ropes, looking to hit that shotgun kick that he did to win the first fall. But as Breeze bounces back off the ropes, he hits beauty shot, gets the win. That's right. Tyler Breeze beats Hideo Itami in 2 straight falls. What's next for Breeze? I'm guessing he's in the NXT title run, but we'll have to wait and see. Other than that, a good little show, and I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and a good match at the end as well. There was a few bits that didn't really need to be on, And even though the 2 out of 3 Falls match was a really good match, I would have saved that for an NXT TakeOver show. Just me though. And I would have really built that up towards the NXT TakeOver show, or the next NXT TakeOver show, whatever that is. But hey, it was a good match nonetheless, and like I say, a 4 out of 5. Right, I'll be back after this quick break, guys, with Ring of Honor review, so stay tuned. Be sure to listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday, only on Mixcloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, Podomatic, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans, we talk about Monday Night Raw, we shoot the breeze, we pipe bomb, and we tell it like it is. Tune in each and every Monday for the Wrestling Matters podcast, where wrestling matters. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and without further ado, we'll get right into it. Let's get into Ring of Honor review. Now, Ring of Honor kicked off this week with Moose one-on-one with Caprice Coleman. Now, this Moose is a horse, I can tell you this right now. He's going to be up in WWE before long. He's a former NFL player, American football player. He's just insane. Moose showing his power to start off. Beautiful arm drag by Coleman, controlling Moose till Moose showed he has the power advantage. Coleman looks to quicken the pace, goes for a dive, but Moose catches him mid-air and shows his power, but Coleman manages to get loose from it. Moose using guardrail as a weapon. Like I said. Coleman quickens the pace, gets Moose rocking. He does. Coleman hits a springboard moonsault on Moose outside from the inside of the ring. That means he stands inside the ring and then just does a flip in the ring, flip over the ropes and everything. It's insane. Moose hits a dropkick as Coleman goes to the top rope. Moose hits a spear and gets the victory. Now, what's the future hold for Moose? I would say the future is definitely bright, because this guy's a horse. And, the only way is up for Caprice Coleman also. So 2 young stars in a good match to kick off the Ring of Honor show. Now, Adam Page and BJ Whitmer of the Decade take on Leon Giovanni and Shaheem Ali. And the Decade take the fight to their opponents from the get-go, which is kind of like what the Road Warriors used to do, and they get the win. You know, showing great double-team wrestling and hit the seeing eye to get the win. Quick win for the Decade. Then they cut a promo, and BJ says he has found the next young boy that they were looking for, and gives Carino the chance to be it. But not Steve, his son, Colby. I think the Decade are looking to piss Steve off big time, which they did, to full effect. Colby accepts, much to the dismay of his father. BJ tries to get under the skin of Carino. Then Jimmy Jacobs comes rushing down and tries to talk sense to BJ to no good. Colby accepts the offer from BJ and is now the newest member of the Decade, or the newest young boy of the Decade. Donovan Dijak and Jay Diesel are in a tag team match from the House of Truth, and they go up against Brutal Burgers, which is Cheeseburger and Brutal Bob. Feeling out process till Bob gets an armbar on Jay. Distraction by Truth allows a chokeslam backbreaker by Dijak on Cheeseburger. The House of Truth in control of Cheeseburger. Power advantage for the House of Truth, because they've got 2 big monsters in there, and 2 big monsters indeed, especially Dijak. He's about 6'8", somewhere around about that age, that height rather. Cheeseburger creates space to take it. Bob in, fight back is on. Dijak counters Brutal Burger's double team and hits Feast Your Eyes for the win. Then after the match, Brutal Bob turns on Cheeseburger. Say enough. Now to the main event of Ring of Honor, which was an epic match in itself. Kyle O'Reilly from the World Tag Team Champions goes one-on-one with Samoa Joe. That's right, the returning Samoa Joe, making his first match back on Ring of Honor television. A feeling out process, catches Ken stuff to start off. Even match so far early on. Chain wrestling, Joe goes for a kick and it takes a swing kick. It just takes a swing at Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle ducks and gets out the way. Advantage for Joe, delivering a beatdown in the corner. Classic Joe. The the proverbial beatdown. He gets him in the corner and starts pounding him in the corner, kind of thing, and just these rapid fire fists and to the face and the body and everything. Awesome stuff. Joe hits trademark Insecurity kick. He is so good. That little, he whips him in the corner, squashes him in the corner, and then just kicks him in the, he has his back to them and he just takes like a kick. It's kind of like a Pele kick, but he does it in the corner. It's so good. Classic Joe in charge as Ring of Honor goes to a break. Ring of Honor is back from the break, and Kyle O'Reilly's in control of Joe. Joe goes old school on the outside, that little face wash he does on the outside when they're sitting in the chair and everything, and they used to do back in the day. He does that to Kyle. Fist distraction allows Kyle back in the match. I mean, Fish didn't even need to be out there, to be fair. Joe proving to be strong, but Kyle works on the shoulder of Joe, picks a body part and goes for it, and it was working effectively. Joe fight back. Experience is key for Joe. Yep, just proving the experience is the advantage, and that. Joe getting near falls. Beautiful powerbomb pin by Joe into an STF. Kyle in trouble. Kyle O'Reilly in trouble. Joe stretching him till Kyle gets the ropes. Kyle O'Reilly gets the ropes. Kyle counters the muscle buster. Gets an armbar submission on Joe. Doesn't work. O'Reilly drops kicks the arm on the outside. A brainbuster gets a near fall back to the armbar by O'Reilly. Really working on that arm. Turns into a fight. It was a great fight. Joe, using his power and some MMA stuff, goes for the muscle buster and gets the win. And they shake hands at the end and everything. And an epic match to end Ring of Honor television this week. And KRD do a promo while Jay Briscoe was doing a promo as well about his upcoming matches as well. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I don't know when they're going to do it, but you have to be on the lookout for that as well. And on next week's episode of Ring of Honor, Mark Briscoe goes one-on-one with AJ Styles. That's right. The man that some people call the leader of the Bullet Club, even though it's Carl Anderson. But many people believe that he is still, no matter what Carl says or does, many people I talk to say that, AJ Styles is the leader of the Bullet Club, which he's not, but many people still think that. He'll be coming to Ring of Honor next week on next week's TV show and face Mark Briscoe. So that should be one to look forward to. But 4 out of 5 for the show. Really enjoyed it. And I would imagine the main event got a 5-star rating as well, because it was just a great main event. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back after this with part 2 of my Massimo Italiano interview. So stay tuned after this. If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters Podcast Twitter page at WM Podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, and now it's time. You heard part 1 last week, and now it's time for part 2 of my Italian interview. That's right. Why did I just call it Italian interview for? I don't know, but it was my interview with Massimo Italiano, which took place the week prior to the episode last week. And like I say, it was a very interesting interview. You heard part 1 last week, and this is part 2. So sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of my interview with Massimo Italiano. What is your take? I mean, do you watch WWE? Do you manage to watch the WWE product?
Honestly, now I'm not watching anymore WWE, or better. I don't watch like in the past when I was 15, 16, that I was every week to watch every single episode, but not only Raw, SmackDown, when there was a main event and everything. Now I'm watching only Raw because I can see on television, and I think that the WWE product maybe in the past was more, the people can have more fun, but it's always the product that sell more than everyone. So I don't want to see this the best, because I can see ICW is very, very good product. They are doing Fight Club. It's fantastic, it's phenomenal. There are Ring of Honor. They do awesome shows. Noah Wrestling. That is doing awesome matches and everything. But WWE is the product that sell more than everybody. So I don't want to say that this means the best, but we have to think about that.
Oh, I mean, I've been very vocal about the WWE on my show, on the podcast. They've been, as far as merchandise and selling, they're the main players, no doubt. They've the engines they've got and everything, but wrestling-wise, you'd probably have to look elsewhere. Unless you're talking about NXT. I mean, I love NXT.
Oh, yeah. No, I love too. NXT is very, very good.
Yeah. What's your take on... Well, since we brought it up, what's your take on NXT?
I love a lot of NXT, yeah. There are a lot of talents, indie guys like Kevin Owens. There is Finn Balor, that is awesome. I watch a lot of his matches in Japan. There is Adrian Neville. He's from England.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. I think that is the future NXT. I think that WWE
really?
with the NXT find a very good. Create a very, very good product because there are awesome shows. All the matches are fantastic, and they have a very, very awesome athletes over there.
Well, very great athletes. It's like you said, like you correctly say, it's the thing. In my opinion, it's the glue that's keeping WWE together.
Yes. I think that now maybe is you can have much more fun to watch NXT than watch maybe Raw or SmackDown, because I think that NXT, not like Raw and SmackDown, had the evolution of pro wrestling, because there is a little bit of indie style in their matches. But the problem is that when they will start to have all the matches like on tour, like the wrestler of Raw and SmackDown, I don't know if they can continue to have that kind of style.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it, the last episode just gone, where I had Kevin Owens and Alex Riley in the main event, and they were on the road. That was on the road. That was in Ohio.
Oh,
so
okay.
They're starting to build it out now, to branch it out to not just to where it was in Orlando in the NXT arena. They're branching it out now to places as well, and taking over festivals and that, just to say, you know, NXT's here, you know, come check us out, kind of thing. Yeah, but like I say, without NXT, I don't know where WWE would be right now, to be honest, because, you know, you've got Raw and SmackDown, but they're not delivering on a weekly basis, at least in my opinion, at least. You might get the odd good show now and again, or the odd great show now and again with Raw, but SmackDown, I don't know what direction that's gone. But, you know, if you want a good show in WWE, you've got to go to NXT.
Yes, I think that you're right with that. NXT is the future, and is going very, very good.
Yeah. One thing's definitely for sure. The future is definitely bright in WWE, no doubt.
Oh yes.
What is your take on TNA?
Sorry?
What is your take on TNA Impact Wrestling?
I think that I like TNA too. They have a fantastic wrestler. Them like Kurt Angle, legend like Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, and but is one step under WWE for sure.
Oh yes.
I think that is on almost same level of Ring of Honor, but I have a biggest television on their shoulders, the TNA. But I think that they have a very good product too, but it's not for sure at the WWE level. But I like. Sometimes I watch some matches. I enjoy the matches. I love the British Boot Camp, because I watched the second the British Boot Camp 2, and I love that. They were all very good wrestlers like Rampage Brown or Noam Dar, that I met him last week when I was at the ICW.
Yeah, really good.
Yes, enjoyed the British Boot Camp, and they are doing the best. They have a very good tag team that I love. The Wolves, American Wolves.
American Wolves, yes. Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, well known in Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Definitely well known in Ring of Honor as well, and they were in WWE, and then I don't know what the heck happened. Apparently WWE didn't see anything in them. I believe it was one man in particular, Triple H. Sorry to name drop, but I believe it was Triple H. This is from what I've heard. Apparently he didn't believe in them that much, and they'll go to TNA, and now look at them, they're on top of the world in TNA. What is your take on... I mean, because we all know TNA's taped as well, but it seems that Drew Galloway has come to TNA, and he's the ICW heavyweight champion, the world heavyweight champion now, because ICW is now... The ICW title is now a world heavyweight championship. And, you know, what's your take on that? I mean, I don't know what the heck's going on behind the scenes, because there's obviously something going on behind the scenes between TNA and ICW at least. There's got to be. So, I mean, Drew Galloway is the voice of the people. So he says. I mean, trying to bring back professional wrestling and that, and I love him for that. But what's your take? I mean, he showed up at a TNA event, and he's still the ICW champion. I mean, what's your view on that, if you have one?
Honestly, I think that first of all, Drew Galloway is a fantastic, phenomenal professional wrestler.
Yes.
I think that he can give to TNA a lot of good matches with Kurt Angle or the others. But I hope they will stay to ICW, because it's very, very important for the federation, for the ICW, and I hope they will stay yet in ICW.
Yeah, the only thing ICW is missing at the moment is a TV deal.
Yes.
Because the fact that they're not on television is a joke, quite frankly. But that's, I mean, when he first showed
honestly,
up...
I'm not sure of this, because I have friends when I was in Canada, and they told me that ICW Fight Club is on Netflix. So I don't know.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, is it? I mean, it's on Netflix. Oh, I never knew that.
Oh yeah, they told me a couple of weeks ago. Some friends of mine that they are in Canada, and they told me that it's on Netflix, because they know all the wrestlers of ICW. So.
Yeah, there's a little something there we didn't know. I mean, I watch ICW on demand, on the on-demand service. I'm a subscriber, and a proud subscriber too, because I enjoy what I see. But, I mean, maybe it's going to benefit the company. Maybe it's going to benefit what he's doing in TNA, besides being the ICW champion. I mean, we all know TNA's taped. But, you know, will it work? I don't know. Who knows? I hope it does work. I mean, I see now TNA is more of, like you so correctly say, an indie promotion now. It's not as it was last year. You know, many people recognize TNA as, you know, being the alternative to WWE. You know, part of the big two main players in wrestling, WWE and TNA. But I see, like, I totally agree with you. I see TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever they call it now, as an indie promotion now. Hopefully they can get back to that level, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Oh yeah, for sure. WWE is more than 50 years that that is doing matches, shows, and everything. Is a power that TNA, okay, it's from 10 years that is working, but for now is 10 steps under WWE. Because the WWE have WWE networks, all the shows, TNA is not the same.
Yeah, it definitely ain't the same as what it used to be. I mean, I remember back in the day when they were doing weekly pay-per-views. I mean, I still enjoy TNA. I still watch TNA, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not bashing it or anything.
Yes, it's also a promotion.
Nothing anything bad to it. I mean, back in the day, they were doing pay-per-views and hitting 5-star pay-per-views, and One time they had the X Division as the main event of a pay-per-view, which was Samoa Joe, Chris Daniels, and AJ Styles, and that got over like a house on fire. And that was probably the most talked about main event of a pay-per-view in TNA's history. I mean, it still gets talked about to this very day. But it's long gone from the days of that to where it is now. It feels like it's took a step down, and I hope for their sake they can take their steps. Obviously, I think they're in a rebuilding situation, and I hope they can get back to where they were again, because I mean they really need to. I mean, with all these other promotions around them, like the Ring of Honors and the ICWs and other promotions like that as well, and even this Global Force Wrestling as well with Jeff Jarrett. That's coming soon, even though they're working with Japan as well.
Yes.
And I just hope they can get back to being the big two again. I mean, I think the downfall was all the money problems they had, at least according to the dirt sheets. That was their downfall. But like I say, hopefully we can get back to having a big two again, because the wrestling business definitely needs someone to compete with WWE at least, or at least try to at least.
Yes, I'm right with you. I think that for me, one promotion that is not the same level but can be is New Japan. New Japan
definitely.
In Japan is very, very famous. When I was there, because they call a lot of good teams from the United States, for example, the Ring of Honor. I'm not sure they are still tag team champions. The Red Dragon, no.
Red Dragon, they're still Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions.
No, but they are IWGP Junior Heavyweight.
Oh, the IWGP. Oh, you're talking about? Oh, yeah, the IWGP. I think they are. The last time I saw
the Young Bucks. They are.
Yeah, I think the Red Dragons. I mean, the last time I saw them, they had the IWGP belt.
Yes.
I might be wrong. I mean, things might have changed, but that was the last time I saw them. It might have all changed. I love the Young Bucks personally. Probably one of the best tag teams on the planet. So with all that being said, then, what is the future for Massimo Italiano in wrestling? What do you see yourself now? You've been in the business 5 years. What do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I hope that will be better than until now. Also, if I'm very happy with what I did until now, but I hope that I will do that step for becoming much more not famous, but all the people will know who I am and what I can do inside the ring. So the next step is continue to train every day, continue to have matches, and I hope that the people will know me for what I am.
Yeah. If you can name one promotion that you want to work with and you want to work in the future that you haven't worked in, because you've been all over the world.
That's easy, very easy.
If there's one promotion that you haven't worked in that you want to work in, what is it?
Honestly, every promotion. I watch a lot of wrestling. Every promotion, I will be very, very happy to work for. But maybe the biggest dream is WWE for sure, because it's the most famous. I grew up watching WWE, so I can tell you WWE, but I will be happy to wrestle for every promotion. Also, if there will be the opportunity for Ring of Honor, New Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, I will be happy for every other opportunity. But if I have to tell you, the big one that I want to wrestle is WWE. That's for sure.
I think that's everybody's dream, because everybody wants to be a part of WWE, no matter where you are in the world of professional wrestling, and no matter whether you like WWE or not. At the end of the day, you want to be a part. You definitely want to be a part of it. If not, you want to be a part of WrestleMania at least.
For sure, yes.
Yeah, you want to be a part of. You definitely want to be a part of WrestleMania. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this interview. Thank you so much, Massimo. I've really enjoyed this interview. I really have.
Oh, thank you very much. It was the first for me in English, so I had sometimes some problems with the language, but it's okay.
You did absolutely fine, and may I just say as well, you are actually the first male wrestler that I have interviewed. You are the very first one. So I was. What a fascinating interview, and like I say, I really, really did enjoy this. With that being said, let my folks know, let the listeners know where they can find you on the social media.
They can find me on Twitter at Max Italiano 9, and they can find me on Facebook, writing only Massimo Italiano Wrestling, and they will find me on Facebook.
Yeah, just
Facebook and Twitter, and not Instagram. I'm not always on the social media, but I use, but I'm not a very big fan of social media.
Yeah, are you? So that's Facebook and Twitter, guys. Are you on YouTube by any chance?
Oh yes, sure. I forgot. I have my YouTube account too. It's Massimo Italiano Wrestling. You can right there, and you can watch all my matches. Today I put on one of my matches from Japan. You can see it.
Yeah, I'll be sure to check that out myself. So if you don't know who this guy is, you've obviously known a bit about him, guys. If you want to see this guy wrestle, you know where to find it. Go on his YouTube. Go on his YouTube page. I will promote that for you as well. I will do all the promotions with your Facebook and your Twitter and
thank you very much.
YouTube as well. I will promote you out there as well, no doubt. And we're going to get you over as much as possible as well. And like I say, if you don't know who this guy is, you should know that. You've known a little bit about him. If you want to see him wrestle, get over to his YouTube page. He'll put matches on that YouTube page for your enjoyment, and hopefully you like what you see. And I will be checking that YouTube page out as well, no doubt. So with that being said, Massimo, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you to you for this interview. I'm very, very happy for doing it.
I'm very, very happy you did do it, and I'm very, very proud to have done it as well, because like I say, I really, really did enjoy it. Really cool interview. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this. So Massimo Italiano, I am the HD88DD, Anthony Walker, saying peace out. And there you have it, guys. Big thank you again to Massimo Italiano. Make sure you check him out on the social sites that he said. Please check him out. Really cool guy. And check out his YouTube page as well if you want to see the guy wrestle and you want to check out some of his matches. And like I say, massive thank you to him for doing that interview as well. Tune in next week, guys, because I've got another interview. Part 1 next week of my interview, all being well, with Johnny Ferry. That's right, the United States poker champion turned wrestling manager, so to speak, and an entrepreneur as well. Really funny interview, cool guy. Be sure to check that out next week. Part 1 is next week, all being well. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back after this with some ICW and WrestleMania thoughts and review. So be sure to check that out. See you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed that interview there. Like I said there, big shout out to Massimo Italiano for that interview. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing it. It was a very, very good, interesting interview with Massimo Italiano. Now, next week as well, like I said, Johnny Ferry will be on. Part 1 of that will be next week, so stay tuned for that. A very interesting interview as well. And a fun interview as well because, well, you'll find out next week. Now, I want to talk about Barramania, ladies and gentlemen. Barramania. ICW Barramania. Took place March 29th. Yes, March 29th. Sunday night, March 29th. WrestleMania Day, too. I'll get to WrestleMania in a minute. If you didn't see it, you could see it on demand right now. The ICW on demand service right now. £3.75 a month. $6 in American money as well. You're missing out, guys. You really are missing out. Get yourself on it and you can see Barramania. You can see Shug's house party as well. The very first Shug's house party, or Shug's house party as it's called as well. You can check that out as well. Number 2 is on the way in July, so be sure to check all that out as well. And like I say, if you haven't got ICW on demand, you're missing out. The matches that were on the show were the 55 Kid Fight, Tim Wiley, Sha Samuels, and TNA superstar Bram defeated Grado, Noam Dar, Kenny Williams, and Joe Hendry. And following the match, Grado challenged Bram to a match at Shug's house party. Lewis Garvin beat Mikey Whiplash, thanks to a little bit of help of the guy who was behind the videos, BT Gunn. Stevie Boy defeated Mark Coffey from the Tag Team Champions, Polo Promotions. Maybe Bucky Boys now will get a tag title shot. Jackie Polo, after 3 years of putting up with this, managed to beat Lionheart. Was Lionheart ready for this? I don't know. I can't tell on that one. Chris Renfrew beat Dickie Divers with a little bit of help from the New Age Clique. During the match, BT Gunn superkicked Divers before Wolfgang came to the ring on his motorbike. Wolfgang then joined the New Age Clique before powerbombing Dickie Divers to allow Chris to win. That's right, Wolfgang has joined the New Age Clique. In a loser leaves ICW match, Layla Rose defeated Carmel by submission, referee stoppage. As per stipulation, Carmel now must leave ICW. Following the match, though, Liam Thompson came to the ring to assist Carmel. He told the crowd that without Carmel, there wouldn't be no ICW. Liam Thompson then hits Carmel with a steel chair. And in the last match, Drew Galloway successfully defended the ICW Heavyweight Championship by beating Joe Coffey. Following the match, Joe Coffey and Drew Galloway shook hands and showed respect to one another. Big Damo then came to the ring and laid out Drew Galloway before taking the mic, declaring the eyes of the world are on Insane Championship Wrestling right now. Maybe this will be the glimpse of the future while Big Damo is holding the belt in the air. Now, I love the show. I thought it was a 5-star show all around. Be sure, ladies and gentlemen, to check out a future podcast, Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, while I'll be reviewing the Barramania show. Coming soon. It's coming soon, probably by the end of next week. By the end of the week, I'll have it all done, and then by next week, it'll be done as well. So be sure to check out for that as well. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out a very, very, very Easter edition of the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I talk about first-class wrestling that took place March 27th at the Middlesbrough Town Hall as well. Be sure to check that out. And congratulations to ICW as well, because it was a great show. Barramania. And if you want to see how Bram joins the 55, you can either A, check it out on ICW On Demand, the Newcastle show that they had on the entertainment tour, or you can check it out on ICW Online on YouTube as well. And if you haven't checked them out yet, go and do it. ICW is the shit. It's where it's at. ICW matters. Anyway, and since I'm here as well, since it was on the same day, I might as well talk about WrestleMania. That's right, give my thoughts on WrestleMania. Quick thoughts on WrestleMania as well. Because, surprisingly enough, despite the fact that everybody thought it was going to stink, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that came up to me and said, oh, this is going to stink, this WrestleMania is going to stink. And I was one of them, I'll admit it, with the main event and everything, because I don't think anybody wanted to see the main event. It was actually a good WrestleMania, believe it or not. The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team titles were retained by Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, which was predictable. Big Show wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. as well. So what the future holds for him, I do not know. In a great match, Randy Orton gets one over on Seth Rollins with probably one of the best RKOs I've ever seen in my life. Seth Rollins goes for a curb stomp, Randy counters it, and then next minute, it's in the air, Seth Rollins, and he comes down and Randy just drops him with an RKO, which was just a thing of beauty. If you haven't seen WrestleMania, go and see it. It's on WWE Network. $9.99 a month. Triple H somehow defeated Sting in a no disqualification match, which turned into a no disqualification grudge match. And the mark-out moment of that match, for me at least, was NWO versus DX. Because DX came to the ring, and then the NWO came in, Hogan, Hall, and Nash. Now, what I don't get, although it was cool to see, it didn't make sense. Because the NWO came out to help Sting. Yes, they were part of WCW. I get that. But Sting, what people don't realize is this. People seem to forget. I watched WTTV the other day. Yesterday, in fact. And they seem to forget that the NWO, Sting was a member of the NWO. Just not the black and white. He was a member of the Wolfpack back in 98. So, in a way, it kind of fitted, but at the end of the day, Sting wasn't a member of the black and white. He was a member of the Wolfpack. So, 50% made sense, 50% didn't. And Sting had Triple H beat, and then Shawn comes out and kicks Sting right in the face with a super kick. And all of DX get one over on the NWO. Although it was cool to see, part of it just didn't make sense. Now, Daniel Bryan wins the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, and becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. Undertaker beats Bray Wyatt, and I'll have to admit right now, Undertaker looked $1 million. He was so good, and whatever he was doing over the year worked for him, because the last time I saw him, he basically got his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar, and everybody was wondering, would he be the same Undertaker? Would he be able to come back? Would he be able to have this match? And he proved everybody wrong. And one of my favourite moments of the match was when Bray Wyatt does that spider thing, and Undertaker was lying down as Bray was doing the spider gimmick thing that he always does. Undertaker sat up, and Bray just shit himself, basically, which I thought was fucking hilarious. In a predictable match, the Rocky IV story that was John Cena and Rusev. John Cena is now the new United States champion, as you clearly saw earlier on, because when he defended it against Dean Ambrose, and on SmackDown too, so that was probably the most predictable match of the evening. Also, as well, AJ Lee in her last WrestleMania, what turns out to be a final WrestleMania towards the end of her retirement, Aaron Page beat the Bella Twins. And in the match that probably stole the show, the main event was actually pretty good. For the World Championship between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, there were shades of what happened with Lesnar and Cena at SummerSlam. It was just a complete beatdown, despite the fact that Roman Reigns was smiling as well. However, Roman Reigns did not walk out with the World Heavyweight Championship, neither did Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins did, because he came down and cashed it in, which was a pretty cool sight. And all that ended a great WrestleMania, because it was an actual good WrestleMania. And like I say, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out on the WWE Network. $9.99. Check it out, you will not regret it. It was actually a pretty good WrestleMania, and I will give it a 7.58 out of 10 rating for it, because I actually enjoyed it, believe it or not. Interested to see what happens at Extreme Rules. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of that, and I'll be back after this with my final thoughts and a speech to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the Wrestling Matters podcast, so stay tuned. I'll be back after this. For new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters, on YouTube. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking the time to tune in and listen to the show today. Hope you've enjoyed it, this 1 year anniversary. 1 year ago to this very day, guys. Monday, April 7th, the whole kit and caboodle began. Now, the whole thing started with me at CVFM Radio, and a big thank you goes out to Idris Rashid, because I came up with an idea to do a podcast for their radio station, but eventually got the nod to do it, and then Idris turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, well you only got 6 minutes to do it." So the original plan, which was this, went out the window. And then from that moment on, I did it for about 3 months, and I thought maybe I could do something with this. And then February of 2014, I got invited to go on a podcast. Many of you guys may know this podcast. It was Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast. That's right. I made my debut on that particular podcast. I'll admit I was nervous when I first got on, but I was cool with it. You know, it was good. It was a good vibe, and as you know from previous episodes, that wasn't my last appearance on the podcast. I'm still on it to this very day, and I've enjoyed it ever since as well. And with that, also, after I appeared on that podcast, I came up with this idea of how to create the Wrestling Matters podcast. I wanted to do my own stuff on the channel, on the Wrestling Matters channel, or the channel that is now known as the Wrestling Matters channel. I didn't know how to do it, and I got some ideas, and then create the whole thing together and all that. Got some advice from Kenny as well on how to do and what to do and how to put it all together and that, and he helped pave the way. And April 7th, 1 year ago to this very day on Monday, the Wrestling Matters podcast was born. That's right, the very first show. If you want to hear that very first show, check it out on YouTube or Mixcloud as well if you want. But make sure you check it out on YouTube or Mixcloud to check out the very first show. It is not on Podomatic. But it's just gradually went on from there. And I've had people come on, big thank you to Vicky Earls, big thank you to Mike Rodriguez, Kinney as well. All these other great people that have come on, Tim Vicious, Darren Dyer as well. I'll be getting you guys back on very, very soon. Don't you worry about that. Make sure you check out them guys as well, the Smackdown Breakdown as well. Check out Tim Vicious and that. I've got other people lined up in the process to come on. And yeah, big thank you to everybody who's appeared on the podcast as well, man. I mean, I got stick when I brought on Offshoot Radio and James Belmont said it took 50 episodes. Well, let me just say this. The reason why it's took this long, I mean, I've only had 2 interviews. Jezabeth and Colleen Masters. And girls, thank you so much for agreeing to do the interview. I appreciate it very much. Big shout out to you also, and a big thank you goes to you as well. And the reason why during these 50 up until the 50th episode and that, and up until now, the reason why I've gone so short is because I suppose it's a confidence boost as well, because I'll be the first to tell you that I've got no confidence. People may think, oh, I'm a confident guy and everything and this, that and the other. They'll be lying to you probably, because my confidence is not very high. If someone took a temperature of my confidence, guarantee you the results would come out very, very low. And that's just me being honest. I can be confident at some things and that, and I can be confident when I want, but I'm not always. I let things bring me down a bit easy, but maybe doing this podcast was a way to help build my confidence as well. That's why I didn't, because the first 50 episodes and leading up to now, I've done 53 episodes, and maybe I'll use these 53 episodes to build that confidence. I plan on taking Wrestling Matters podcast as far as it goes, no matter how slow it goes. Nothing happens overnight, but at the end of the day, it was all about confidence for me and how I can incorporate that into myself to do these podcasts and bring you the best podcasts that I can bring you. I'm a big wrestling fan. I was a wrestling fan growing up, way back in the day. Like I've said many times, WWE SummerSlam was my very first pay-per-view. And I'm an old school wrestler, and I basically grew up on sports entertainment. But I truly believe there is a professional wrestling out there, and professional wrestling is on the indie circuit. Because unless you're watching NXT each and every week, you're not getting it in WWE. And I've had a blast doing these podcasts. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've shoot with people, I've done pipe bombs, I've got some great stuff, It's been fun to do, to bring it each and every week to you guys that have supported the podcast and then enjoy what content that I bring you. I'm looking for affiliation things. I'm definitely looking for sponsors. I'm pushing towards that as well. Not the easiest thing to do in the world, but like Kenny said, you have to take the no's to get that yes, because one yes will change everything, and one yes and you're off to the races. I don't force people to come on the podcast. At the end of the day, I don't at the end of the day, the offer's there if you want to come on and speak your mind and that. You don't have to. I won't be disappointed. Just come on and have some fun, because I've had a lot of feedback saying that this is a fun podcast. People come on this show and have some fun. I don't put boundaries on this podcast. I just turn it loose and we have a good time doing it as well. And I've got. And it's not over yet, guys. I mean, the whole reason I created the podcast was, like I said, because professional wrestling matters. Wrestling matters to me. And I don't care who you are or what you are, you're not going to stop me from doing these podcasts. I made a commitment Monday, April 7th, 2014, to bring podcasts each and every week, no matter where it is, whether it's on CVFM radio or whether it's here. I plan on bringing you the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday. Okay, that was my commitment to you. I know it's going to come to a point where I'm not going to be able to bring you it on the Monday. I might have to take a week off or something like that. I know it's going to come to that point at some point. I know, shit happens and that, and roadblocks tend to get in the way, but you just have to work around them and basically get a sledgehammer and smash the fucker down. But at the end of the day, no matter what, nothing's going to stop me from bringing podcasts every week. Why? Because I'm a wrestling fan. Because I believe that wrestling matters. And it should. It matters to me. It should matter to you. Sports entertainment doesn't. I am a wrestling fan. And I'm proud to be a wrestling fan. And I've been a wrestling fan ever since I was a wee child, back in the day when I turned on the TV first time for Hulk Hogan. Wrestling matters. Okay, this is not just for wrestling fans. This podcast, I didn't create this podcast for wrestling fans, guys. I created it for professional wrestling fans, because professional wrestling matters to me. It is one of my favorite things in the whole world to watch or be a part of or whatever. I love wrestling. I love this business, as well as soccer as well. But I love this business. I love professional wrestling. It gets on my damn nerves every time I watch Monday Night Raw every week and all that, and considering the booking or the way the show's been set out. But at the end of the day, if there's one thing that I've learned growing up, I'm sure you all agree with me, I believe that everybody has an opinion on professional wrestling. Good, bad, ugly, whatever the fuck, it's there. Everybody has an opinion. And that's one of the other reasons why I've created this podcast, to express opinions. You don't have to like it, but I didn't create this podcast to bullshit you. Oh yeah, it was a great thing, this and that. Well, clearly it wasn't. I didn't create the podcast to bullshit. I created the podcast to tell the truth and tell it like it is. Despite what other people have said to me in the past about this podcast. Oh, be kayfabe. Fuck kayfabe. Kayfabe died in the 90s. Man. Pipe bombs matter on this podcast. Telling the truth matters on this podcast. Wrestling matters on this podcast. Having fun matters on this podcast. And you know what? I've done 53 episodes, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to stop. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's like a great wrestler once said.
We've only just begun, you understand? Learn to love it! Learn to live with it! Diamonds are forever!
And so is the Wrestling Matters podcast. Thank you so much for your support. Keep supporting the podcast. Facebook.com/WM Podcast. Mixcloud, iTunes, do all that good stuff. At WM Podcast on Twitter. Get me on there as well. Thank you so much for your support, guys. We've only just begun. Until next time, peace out.